Three, two, one. We're live. What's up, guys? How's it going? Well, I had to go live, man. Breaking news. Breaking news. I'm setting up my sound check here. Breaking news. San Francisco Chronicle and now national media in the last hour have declared, well, mostly the Chronicle have declared that Barbara Lee will be the next mayor of Oakland, California. Kind of a shocker, man. I'm shocked. We all thought that the race was going to be closer. We'll get into the numbers. And I wanted to take the opportunity to tell you we are live on X. We're live on Rumble. We are live on Facebook. Welcome to the Jason J. Daniels Show. So, you can jump on if you want. I do have a chat that is live. I can see everybody that jumps in the chat on all of Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and X. You can jump in. I've sent some invites out for some special guests. We'll see if anybody wants to join me that has insight on the mayor's race. It's been, exhausting. It's been exhausting. And I got to say, man, I am disappointed. I am not a fan of Barbara Lee. And now I can talk to you freely about what to expect. And, going forward, some of you might still be in denial. You might be just hearing the news. I know some of you are watching me right now, and you're scratching your head. Hold on, let me. Okay, sorry, I have to do a sound check. It's just me by myself going solo. I'm my own producer, so everything you see that happens, I'm doing in real time. So thank you guys for your patience. Yeah, so we'll just get into it here. Please follow me if you haven't followed me before. If you're just stumbling onto this live, please give me a follow. Would really appreciate it. I talk about local politics. We talk about sports. We talk about true crime, interesting stuff. The mayor's race has been absolutely interesting. And I've made some really incredible friends as I've covered this. I've been interviewing the candidates. I interviewed probably 40% of them. And I couldn't get them all on, and we tried. Some of them we couldn't connect with, but most of them we did. And it was a really great crop of candidates. And I know that you're wondering what my thoughts are. And let me just how can I say this in a way that's not and I'm sorry I look distracted, but I'm setting up what happens when I go live. I have to set up certain things for the different apps. Right now I'm just making sure we're good on the Facebook Live. What to expect? What to expect? One momento. Sorry, guys. Okay, save. Okay, I had to make sure the Facebook folks could see what to expect. You're absolutely screwed. You are screwed. Oakland's in a lot of trouble, man. Oakland's in a lot of trouble, and I don't want to make you mad or upset you, but you have just elected the most left-wing person since Jerry Brown, the most left-wing mayor. It's kind of like it's like I kind of I don't have a lot of words. I actually didn't think I'd be I thought he won. I thought Lauren was going to win. I actually didn't think that I would be um stand by real quick. I'm getting a message here. Okay, cool. So I just got a message from somebody in the know who is this person said that they're going to be looking at the voting records, and they're gonna do because I'm getting my messages here. They're going to look into what was cast and just to verify. There's a group that obviously is going to try to verify. But the problem with ranked choice voting is when someone hits 50%, it's a wrap, and that's what happened. Some of the so I think it's 52%. We can show you in a second. Let me take this banner off. Let me take this off here. Yeah, you have voted for the most left-wing mayor since Jerry Brown. And what does that mean for Oakland? Um, what does that mean for Oakland? I'm a libertarian. Let's just start this off. I'm surprised. So sorry if I seem surprised. I'm totally surprised. I did not expect this. I actually thought Lauren was going to win. Uh, we were after the on Tuesday. We were all pretty stoked, and that doesn't necessarily mean I was pulling for him. But when because I actually honestly liked all the candidates that I met. I thought all of them could have been great. But when it came down to ranked choice voting and the votes start coming in, obviously Barbara Lee and Lauren were 1 and 2. And when the election night went down, Lauren was number 1. He was ahead, right? But as voting has happened since Tuesday, everybody was kind of concerned that we were told it was going to take a long time, and everybody was I was starting to heat up, like, why would it take so long? There's not that many votes to count. I think the total will be under 100,000, maybe a little over. I could be wrong. There are very smart people that know this better than I do. So they can they can inform you. Some of you follow them on X, and some of you follow them on other platforms. I'm not trying to freak you out, but like I'm not sure how to. I mean, I'll try to help you feel comfortable if if you didn't vote for her. Now there is a silver lining. She is going to fulfill the term that Shang Tao left after resigning, being forced out after the recall. Well, not resigning. I'm sorry, recalled. Poor choice of words. Fake news. Was recalled. So there's less than 2 years, about 2 years left. And so Barbara Lee will serve that term out. So your silver lining is another election cycle will, in another year, 12 months from now, you could realistically be in another election cycle and try it again. But this is, for Lauren, this is the second loss in a row, which is interesting. So where do you go from there? And it's not just Lauren losing per se, it's a movement. Clearly, there was a pretty strong movement to get Lauren in because people were kind of terrified of what would happen if Barbara Lee came in. Now, first of all, nothing's going to happen, meaning she's not going to change a thing. So you're not going to get the house cleaned like you wanted. You're going to get the same stuff, the same shenanigans. And I hate to say this, but you're going into bankruptcy, Oakland. There's no way around it, because she does not have what it takes to pull you guys out. She doesn't. She didn't have a plan that I thought was solid. Many people thought that. Not enough people. She wants to raise fees, be more aggressive on collecting fees. So I obviously, when you're of the left persuasion that far, taxation is like your thing, man. And you can challenge me on that, but since time immemorial, that's what the most left-wing or most liberal politicians do, is they go right for your pocketbook, man. They go right to tax you. Now, unfortunately, not every taxpayer votes and not every voter is a taxpayer. So that's a problem with our system, is that it's set up to reward people who don't pay taxes and to punish people who actually pay taxes. Now, that's not just Oakland, that's everywhere. Now, keep in mind, now, you know what's interesting? Not to change the subject, but it makes sense to me. It makes sense because when I saw that Measure A passed, which is a tax raise on specifically the citizens of Oakland, when I saw that passed, I do have a chat, guys. If you want to jump in, feel free to chat. When that passed, it passed by 60%. And on the same night, on election night, they were like, or the next morning, or whatever, they were like, that's a wrap. And that was weird to me because I was like, that many people voted. Like they said 60% voted for the tax increase, but we didn't have all the votes in. Now, a lot of it was mail in. We didn't have all the votes in for Barbara Lee, which it's kind of like, now Lauren did support it as well. So, there's that. I mean, I can't say it's all Barbara Lee on the taxes because Lauren did support it. But 60% of the votes that came in, like, you're getting your taxes raised. That to me was a bad sign. I was like, that's not looking good. Now it makes sense. Because I thought if Lauren wins and the tax thing passed, it just seemed like the numbers were odd to me, like the percentages at that point. But there you go. And again, I invited some folks to join short notice. I mean, everybody's just kind of, absorbing this. But let's jump to some of the media here. I can jump to some coverage for you. Let me jump to let's see here. Let me jump to Google and we can take a look at some of the articles together. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. So let me take this graphic off here. Let's see here. Yeah. So sorry guys. Going to here we go. Okay. So, here we go. So you put in Barbara Lee and let's reboot this here. Okay. So Chronicle says Barbara Lee wins Oakland mayor's race. There's a paywall. I don't pay for the Chronicle, so that's not going to work. 58 minutes ago, Barbara Lee takes the lead. True, but she's at 52%, which if you're over 50%, it's pretty much a lock. MSNBC, she moves ahead. Let's look at what NBC Bay Area says. Okay, now she's in the lead. It says that she's in the lead by 5,000 votes. It's kind of like, when you look at it, it's like 5% or something. And this is just some talk here. It has the name of the other candidates. What was interesting is Mindy was she was in fourth place. Tyrone was in third. Barbara was 2 and Lauren was 1 at the end of Tuesday night, which essentially, because Tyrone dropped out, so essentially meant that Cindy was like 2 heartbeats away then. So here's your percentages. And this is where it lies. Now they're doing, they're counting up until Fridays, and then they're not counting. Let's go back to this. Let's refresh this. They're counting until Fridays. So we got our Friday count. Let's go back here. Let's see what the SFS says. Barbara Lee takes lead with 45,000 more votes counted than had been tallied on election night. Okay, that's significant. That makes sense. So that would put us at around like 90, 85, 90. I'm just saying rough numbers here from what I know. It has been widely predicted when Lee jumped into the race, she could clear the field and easily sail. But Lauren Taylor had proven to be a worthy opponent. We'll see. I mean, if he ends up losing by 6 or 7%, he wasn't a worthy opponent. A worthy opponent's like a 3 to 4%. Now, there could be a recount, I suppose, if he's within the margin of victory, but I don't know if that's likely. Last time he lost by, I think this is his second run. He lost by 677 votes, I guess. And for some reason, I don't know all the deets, but for some reason there wasn't a recount. So unclear as to why there wasn't a recount. Guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate. We've got really good numbers right now, so thank you. Um, and if you're jumping on, breaking news: Barbara Lee is projected to win the Oakland mayor's race. San Francisco Chronicle has projected that. That's their headline. Everybody else, now the Hill.com is projecting it too. That's important. This news broke about an hour ago. So I had to just jump on. So Alameda County Register of Voters. Now you can go to the website if you want. I haven't updated its vote tally Friday afternoon at 4. So every week on Friday they were going to dump the newest results. At this point, it's a wrap because she hit 52.7%. And now he's dropped to 47.3. Now there are smarter people that know this math better than I do for Alameda and Oakland, but essentially, one, with ranked choice voting, which is, and we'll jump to something that Ballotpedia has some information on that. But when it comes to ranked choice voting, all you got to do is hit 50%, because you have a number of ballots that are out there, number of projected voters. You have the mail-in ballots. They can take that math and calculate, okay, what's left to come in. And they go by the numbers of people that voted last time. They can get a pretty good, accurate count prediction. So there's a threshold of what 50% could be. In ranked choice voting, you win. It's not like, okay, the top two winners have a runoff. Now, in most cases, when you have a runoff system, if somebody hits 50%, there isn't a runoff. So in this case, and it's a special election too, which they're so unpredictable. Now, I could have predicted that she would win. In fact, I went on the record on my podcast with one of my guests, and we did predict that she would probably easily win. But that's before the race got interesting. But back to ranked choice voting. But in this situation, once you hit 50%, you're cool. You win. So in the last round of voting, which was this week. Sorry, last round of counting. Barbara Lee now has 48,855 votes, 52.7% compared to Taylor's 43,860. He's now at 47.3. Now, just to give you some perspective, if you're still, in denial, when you're leading and then you drop 5%, you're leading by 2, right? I think he was leading by 2 or 3%. Then you go down by 5-ish%, roughly a week later. That means it's like a net loss of 7%, right? And she has a net gain. So it's not looking good, right? So you can easily go, okay, if this continues, now he has to make up 5, but he lost 7. That just means the math's not going to work out for him. And all you got to do is win by 1 vote, right? So a lot of people hate the ranked choice voting. I feel you. There's good old Barbara Lee. Let's go to the Hill.com. Let's just type in Hill. .com. Okay. Let's see here. Hill covering Congress. Okay. So let's go to the head page here. Okay. And let me check our sound here. Okay, so let's go here. Hill headline. Sorry. Barbara Lee wins Oakland mayor's race. Okay, there it is. Barbara Lee. So if you're just joining us, guys, thank you. Some of you are just joining us. Breaking news: Barbara Lee is projected to win the Oakland mayor race, and I got to tell you, a lot of us are not Totally surprised. We're kind of shocked. Got to be honest. We're kind of shocked a little bit, but not so much. Let's see here. Okay, so they why did they use that picture? She looks sad. Okay, so Barbara Lee is projected to win a special election to become the next mayor of Oakland. According to the Decision Desk HQ, what became a closer than expected race, that's true, amid growing voter dissatisfaction over the direction of the city. Lee won the nonpartisan um, ranked choice election over a field of more than a half dozen candidates, with the most prominent being former city council mayor Lauren Taylor, who is a runner-up to now former mayor Sheng Tao in the 22 mayoral race. Okay. Here we go again. About 1,200 votes ahead. Now they're saying Taylor got the first batch that was tallied. This is the first night. Yeah, he was up by 48%. Actually, he had a pretty substantial lead, but now it's changed, and she is about 5 points ahead right now. So there you go. Now, right now, there's an interim mayor. Let's just stop the sharing. Go back to my screen. There's an interim mayor. But pretty much how the government runs, your city administrator, I think, is the name of the title instead of city manager. Most cities are actually controlled by the city administrator or the city manager. They're usually the highest paid member of city government. They're usually the most powerful person, and they set the agenda. They do all the wheeling and the dealing. They just don't do the votes, but they organize everything that's important for the council. They have a lot of power. They talk to the media. They do all the PR stuff. They run the city. And usually it's an outsider that comes in. And so I don't have the name of the gentleman off the top of my head that's the city administrator, but that cat is hired and fired by the mayor. Now, there's a possibility that Barbara will fire him and move him to, or just move someone else in that she can trust. I would. Now, I don't know what his contract is, but he can most likely be, given a severance. And then you have there was a new council member elected, or that's going to happen for District 2. So the council will change up a little bit, but you have the rest of the council there. There was a pretty serious scandal. I mean, there's a lot of scandal. You name it. Oakland's like the pick me of scandals. Pick a scandal. You got it. Oakland guys, thanks for watching. We're live on X, Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. We're just trying to digest this, man. If you just saw the news, thehill.com, they know what they're talking about. And San Francisco Chronicle, SF Chron, have called the election for Barbara Lee. She is predicted to win the Oakland mayor race. How much she'll win by? It's interesting. Right now, she's up by 5. And as we were talking before, Lauren had, I think, like a 2 to 3 point lead. So by the end of Tuesday night, so right now, it's a 7-point swing against him. They're and now they're counting the rest of the mail-in ballots, and they're counting the ballots of the folks that. Sorry, I was looking at my calendar up here. They're counting the ballots of the folks that voted in person. But most likely the mail-in ballots probably or more. There are probably more of those. And at this point, they're doing a data dump every Friday. It's not looking good. Lauren would have to pick up 8%, 7%, 6% from now. And that's kind of not possible. Plus, with the ranked choice voting, you're a winner at 50%, and Barbara's at 52.3 or something. So if you're just joining us, Barbara is your new mayor. And, we're kind of giving you the live results right now. So if you're just joining, guys, follow me on Snap, IG, Rumble, YouTube, Jason J. Daniel, your favorite app I'm on. Hey, why wouldn't you want to follow me? I don't normally just do straight politics. We've been doing a lot of politics because I have strong ties to Oakland, and I got to say, one of the best things, and now this is the download. You're hearing my thoughts. I'm going to give you my thoughts. now that I can't influence the election either way. And I didn't want to try to influence any election. I have over 21,000 followers on all of my social, and we get thousands of views on the podcast, which is very relatively new. So thanks, guys. So I do true crime. I do human behavior, uh, comedians. I'm an actor. I have actor friends, so I have a lot of really cool interviews set up. In fact, I've interviews set up into next month. It's exciting. We've been doing some national stuff. I've interviewed folks. I've interviewed J6ers telling their story, which I've really enjoyed. I just want to bring everybody together. I'm a libertarian. I'm independent. I just want to bring all voices. And this election gave us a chance to bring all voices together, which I thought was pretty cool. I got a chance to meet like 40% of the candidates online and interviewed them. So if you're interested, you can go to my archive and see all the interviews. So back to, so I was going to go to Ballotpedia to talk about, let me share my screen one more time. Let's look at ranked choice voting and what that looks like. Okay, so let me take off, boom, that graphic, and here we go. So how does ranked choice voting works? How ranked choice voting works? Sorry. Okay. So we'll just read it. It says, broadly speaking, the ranked choice voting process unfolds as followed. Voters rank the candidates for a given office by preference on their ballots. Now, I think there was 9 candidates on this one. So essentially, it's like, okay, what is your choice, right? That's a lot of choices. So most people will just give you your top 3 and then they'll just make up the rest. If a candidate wins an outright majority of the first preference votes, i.e. 50% plus 1, he or she will be declared the winner. Now, how that works is, you guys probably could just imagine that, is if enough people voted Barbara number 1, then it's a wrap. And that's what happened. That's what San Francisco Chronicle and what The Hill are telling us. And now by tomorrow, all the major media would tell us that. It's a big story because she's a national figure. Barbara Lee she's on the Mount Rushmore of liberal icons. If California had a Mount Rushmore, she'd be on there. Now there's probably like 6 people, but she'd be on there on the Mount Rushmore. She's 79, I think. And she's one of the oldest politicians still popping, right? But from all accounts, she's still very youthful, engaged, and look, she ran a freaking good campaign and looks like she's going to have a pretty good win. If Lauren's voters close the gap and get them within 2 to 3%, that's admirable, but that's still a pretty decent win. So if Barbara keeps the 5-point win, that's a pretty solid win. So you can't take that away from her. If, on the other hand, no candidate wins outright majority of the first preference votes, the candidate with the fewest first preference votes is eliminated. That happens. And then so on and so forth. And then it gets really tricky where they will take the number 2, I think, and move them. It's odd and add those to the winner. So it's tricky. So, for example, in ranked choice voting, something that started to happen towards kind of the beginning, is the candidate that has the most votes, one of the front runners will usually partner with somebody that's not a front runner because those votes could jump to that person, right? So Barbara did that with Tyrone Jordan. That was something I saw right away. And then Lauren was also partnering towards the end too with some candidates, which I thought it was actually kind of cool. I thought that was a real good way to kind of beat that system. But Lauren apparently didn't. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Oakland race, mayor's race, and the breaking news this evening broke around 5:30. I think 5. Yeah, I saw it around 5:40. Interesting. I got distracted. What was I doing? I was reading about serial killers. I was just like going through something. I was like I was reading about just crazy stuff. And then I jumped on X and then it popped up. I was like, oh no, wow. San Francisco Chronicle was calling it. I follow some of the reporters. And so, yeah, that broke around 5:30, and I jumped on it and I said, hey, let's talk about it. A lot of people are going to be interested in what our thoughts are. I did, like I said, I did invite some people who are in the know who might want to jump on to give us their thoughts. I had one person. I'll give you some. I did have someone email me who is very involved. Very involved. This person knows exactly what they're talking about. They're very connected to the Alameda County voter registrar, and this person emailed me and said that their group, there's a group of them, and they are looking at the voting record. They'll be looking at the voting records and verifying as much as they can. We'll see if that makes a difference. The other side of it is we also have to realize that even after like 2 or 3 weeks out of the election, the rules for Oakland allow ballots to be counted as long as they're postmarked like 2 weeks out. Now, I don't think that's going to matter. But notoriously, historically, traditionally, however you want to say it, mail-in votes go towards the most left of center candidate. Now, let's talk about Barbara and what that means for the Oakland's mayor race. So I'm sorry, for the future of Oakland. So let's talk. Let me give you the downside and I'll give you the bright side. Let's start with the downside. The downside is that nothing's going to change, and you're probably going into bankruptcy, Oakland, because there's a budget deficit that is major. So expect a lot of things to be cut. Now, what kind of services will be cut? It's hard to say. But I just don't. I don't think the police will be cut. I think that would be too controversial. I think she's smarter than that. I think that any of the cuts that she will support now, ultimately the council makes the cuts. But here's where the mayor is important when it comes to this. When you're someone that has gravitas and someone that has power, Barbara Lee is powerful. She's a very powerful politician. Barbara Lee could pick up the phone and call you name it, your favorite liberal superheroes, you name it. She got him. She got him on the iPhone. She got him on the celly. Okay. She got Gavin in here. She's got Hillary Clinton in here. She's got Bill Clinton in here. She's got Chucky Schumer. Clearly she's got Pelosi. You name it. She's got it. So she's got power. Now, let me be real. People love power. People love that shit, man. They love power more than sex. They love power more than money. It's a close, but people love power, man. So when you're in the council, let's just talk about the council. When you're in the council or you're a bureaucrat that has not been elected, but you're appointed, and then you have somebody, and look, everybody in politics, they got big dreams. Everybody's ambitious. That's all. Everybody's ambitious. Let's be real. They're all ambitious. Nothing wrong with that. Ambition is good. That's what makes America a great country. Ambition. What are the things? Hard work, ambition, passion. So let me bring it back to what I was saying. If you're somebody in the council or close to that power, and you have someone like Barbara Lee come in, whoo, man, phone call from Barbara Lee, she could help your career. She's got power. I'm right. It's right. She's got power. So if you are somebody that's ambitious and you want a leg up, then someone like Barbara Lee is someone to cozy up to. So sorry, my hair's in my ear. I'm going to get a haircut. I'll be going to get a haircut. Sorry, my ear's itchy. Sorry about that. Live. It's live, so can't edit that. you're going to cozy up to her. So someone like Barbara can come in and she's like, she can get what she wants. And the truth is, it would be tough to oppose her on the council if she wanted something her way. It'd be tough. It takes some courage to say no to Barbara Lee. And that's the story. So whatever agenda she sets, obviously, if I think she's going to hire a new city administrator because Shane Tao brought one in. Every mayor usually brings in their own administrator. It's like their chief of staff. You can look at it that way. And when you talk about knowing how to run any kind of government, she knows. Barbara's been at the top of the mountain. I mean, she could have run for president, I suppose. I mean, at the time, she was just too left leaning, and she really probably couldn't have gotten the support that she would have needed. And that's an ambitious thing to do. It's a different story, and you got to give up in some cases. You have to stop being a congressperson, and that's a nice gig. So it never happened for her. And I'm not saying she was a contender, but she was very popular back in the day. So when you're someone like that and you've seen it all, you've been through the wars, I mean, the battles, you're going to get what you want. So that's a negative for Oakland because I just don't think her agenda is going to be an agenda that is going to look to put the citizens first. I know that sounds terrible. Look, and if you're a Barbara Lee supporter, I'm not like downing you, and I'm not. Look, it's a choice you guys made. She is now going to be the honorable mayor. Right on. The honorable Barbara Lee will now be the mayor. Right on. So everyone should support her, like you would think, because everyone's supporting the mayor, supporting the council. That's how things get done. But there's a lot of divisiveness in Oakland and a lot of people upset, and for good reason, because the corruption is at an all-time high. I can't think of a city. There's been a number of small cities over time, but I can't think of a city that is so like well known that's had so much fuckery, I'm going to be honest, go on in the last 5 years. I mean, look at the Alameda sports thing. Now, it's not all Oakland's fault, but I mean, you don't have a major baseball team anymore. The Raiders, you lost them way back. You don't really have, the Warriors don't play in Oakland anymore. You don't have pro sports. Where's your musicians? Where's the arts? The arts are just, I mean, Oakland, used to be known for music and for artistic endeavors. You don't got that. Now it's pretty much known for, people driving their cars through CVS, smash and grabs, the police not doing chases. You're known for the bad stuff. I don't see how Barbara Lee's going to be tough on crime. She, when it was time to defund the police, she posted a tweet at the time when it was Twitter. She posted a tweet, and her tweet was, the police we need to shake the system up. And she essentially said defund the police without saying defund the police. It's more specific when you read it. So she was not all hip to adding police to anything at the time. Now, it was during the George Floyd movement, so a lot of politicians were on the defund the police. But Oakland is the city that actually, the first city that, and I think Seattle, actually started doing things legislatively to go that direction. And that was the beginning of the problems. We'll get to Lauren in a second. We'll talk about his record and things that I didn't talk about that I think are probably important to talk about now, which probably led to the loss. I'll be honest with you. But Barbara, again, she's powerful. And some people could look at her and go, disagree with what I'm saying and say, Jason, you're crazy. Because of the power she has, she can get things done. Interesting point. But this is not the time to get loans from the federal government or the state. Not the time. The money's not there. And the support's not there. Plus, Oakland's a sanctuary city. And you got to really be honest with yourself, Oakland. Donald Trump's not going to do you any favors if you're a sanctuary city. And now we haven't talked about that. And it didn't come up in the campaign, but that's a thing. So now if Oakland says they're not and they decide to do some things that make the Trump administration happy, there's a chance they're going to get some funding. I can honestly see if Barbara Lee decided to kiss Trump's ring and made a thing of it and actually did what certain people are doing, changing their tune, like Gavin Newsom's trying to change his tune because he knows he needs help. So, and Trump did give him the fire money. We can't forget that. So it's possible, but Gavin Newsom had to kind of kiss the ring. He really had to bend over, and obviously it was a natural disaster, and Trump did help. And we're not even talking about that anymore, right? So something must have worked out. We got to give Gavin that. And so Barbara could do that, right? She could do that. Now, she's very connected to Gavin Newsom. She can call him on the cell and go, "What's up, baby? Take me to dinner." Just kidding. What do you want to say to Gavin Newsom? "Take me to dinner." She called Gavin and say, "Let's do some din-din." He'd do it. I mean, look, you do it. I'd do it. Barbara Lee called me. I'd have some dinner with her and say, "What's up?" I mean, I tried to get on the podcast many times. One day it'll happen. So she could get him on the celly, have some dinner, and say, "Hey, let's cut me some cash here. Give me some dough, man. We need the dough for Oakland." But he don't got the dough. He doesn't got the bread, man. Oakland is broken. So's the state. And Gavin just said, "Hey, I'm gonna need $3 billion. We're talking 3B. I'm gonna need $3 billion, 3.4 or something to help bail out Medi-Cal." Okay, so if that's happening and the fires are happening and God knows what else is going to happen budgetarily for California, what makes us think that Gavin's going to, give some scratch to Oakland just because Barbara calls him? It's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. So Barbara says she can get grants. That was one of her things. She can get grants. She can get money. I don't disagree with her power to do it. I just don't know if she could do it this year. Now, maybe towards the end of her term next year, maybe, or going into next year, when things get better, if the economy gets better, which all indicators are saying the economy is improving, even though the tariff thing is a thing that makes things unstable, stock market's unstable. But that goes to my point. This is not the time to ask anybody for money. So Barbara's other plan is to, if you're just joining us, breaking news, Barbara Lee is projected to win by the Hill and by SF Chron. And we're looking at the numbers, and it looks like it is a wrap for Lauren Taylor. I'm just taking a look at her numbers here. So let's take a look. Let's see what some of my friends are posting. Okay, so we've got I won't tell you who these folks are, but I'm just gonna tell you what I'm seeing. This one's on the voters, but even more, it's on the non-voters who said they want change. Okay, good point. Somebody is saying, does anyone actually believe this fucked up bullshit? Yeah, baby, it's true, man. One thing's for certain. Now I'm gonna bring some of these folks on the next couple of weeks, so I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. One thing's for certain: progressives own every inch of Oakland's near future. This very informed person says, bankruptcy, that's on them. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. This was posted an hour ago. Oakland turns around and becomes safe, clean, and livable. That's on them. We shall see. Pray for Oakland. Pray for Oakland. I would say, yeah. You can. Now, some people are saying this is the answer to our prayers, and I'm open-minded to that. I am. This podcast fueled by Bang Energy. I know, bad. So, I'm just giving my honest thoughts because I've been in this game for a while. I used to be a political activist. I actually ran some elections. I was going to run for a city council seat in a city. I won't tell you the name of the city. Didn't work out. I've created ballot initiatives. I've lost a few elections for my ballot initiatives. So I know what this game's about. I've done a recall election for two candidates or two politicians. That didn't quite work out for me. It was tough. Politics are tough. Local politics are tough and unpredictable. So, but you can, and guys, thanks for watching. You can never count out someone like Barbara Lee. So going into it, you need a real different candidate. You do. And let me just say that Lauren Taylor is just not that candidate that's that different. He's liberal. He's a Democrat. Let's talk about Lauren. I've talked about Barbara. Let's talk about Lauren. So Barbara did run a decent campaign, but she really didn't campaign that hard. She had a good website. She had good videos, but she has powerful name recognition. Maybe you'll recall 15 years ago or something, 10 years ago, Kevin Johnson ran for mayor of Sacramento against a strong incumbent, Heather Fargo. This is old stuff. This is California politics. And Kevin Johnson easily won that election. He's an NBA star, powerful guy. He was a disaster as a mayor, but a good guy, powerful guy, good guy as far as, let me just reframe that. I didn't know him. I interviewed him. I spent some time with him. I interviewed him for I had a podcast back in the day. I interviewed him, and I'll tell you that story. Interesting story. I think I should tell that story because it's different. It's a different millionaires. Now, Barbara Lee's a millionaire. Millionaires, famous people that run for smaller elections. It is so hard to beat them because people go with name recognition. They just do, or they don't show up and vote because they think, well, Barbara's got it. And so Kevin Johnson ran. He beat Heather Fargo. Heather was like a two-time, or it was her second run as mayor. Sacramento had the same kind of problems, not the corruption, but a lot of problems. Fiscally, they were struggling. Kevin Johnson didn't make anything better. But let me go back to what I said about him. He was a people saw him as a good person. That's a good way to put it. He was very connected to Obama back then. Friends, Obama said some good things about him. He hung out with Obama. Obama's campaign manager, or one of them guys that, not his campaign manager per se, but one of the guys that was very connected to Obama's campaign, ran Kevin Johnson's campaign, who I knew. Really smart politician, a political type, and Kevin ran a smart campaign. Kevin had a lot of scandals that he had to deal with and beat that stuff. Barbara's got the, she kind of had the liberal progressive, she's going to destroy your city thing hanging over her, which could be true, but she had some negative, she had a lot of downside like Kevin. But the name recognition took him over the top. I mean, he took Jordan to game 6, right? Locked him down, beat him, the Bulls back then, basketball, Kings, big deal, right? Guy comes in with that kind of street cred recognition. Arnold Schwarzenegger wins a recall election. We all know how that went. Schwarzenegger was a disaster. A lot of people thought he was good. He was a mess. Schwarzenegger was a mess. And then he was plagued with scandals. So, and it, so on and so forth. But those are the most recent examples of somebody that's a celebrity. Barbara Lee's a celebrity. We can't take that away from her. She's a political celebrity. I mean, I'll hand this to her, and I respect her for this. She voted against invading Iraq, the only person that stood up against Bush. She was right. She was right. It's one of the worst decisions we made as a country. She was right. So Barbara Lee she's got principles. She stands up against, she stands up against a tough. She'll stand up against a tough political confrontation. She doesn't back down. Now she really didn't go negative at all on Lauren, but Lauren didn't go negative either. He stayed, yeah, but at the end, now some of you might go, well, she didn't go negative. She didn't, but the unions did. Some of the donors did. But on the other side, let's be honest, Lauren had some folks supporting him that were going very negative too. So there was a negative, there was a lot of muckraking going on. No judgment, but it's part of the game. Part of the game. But I don't think it made a difference. I just don't think it made a difference. We just didn't see it make a difference. So Lauren loses. If you're just joining me, I'm just doing a little bit of a breakdown on the election. Lauren Taylor is projected to lose. Barbara Lee has been projected as the next mayor of Oakland, and that is a wrap for Lauren Taylor's campaign. Taylor has fallen like 7% since the last vote count, which means Barbara's up by 5%, and she crossed the threshold of 50% in ranked choice voting. It is a lock for her. She has clinched it. Thanks for watching, guys. Numbers are decent tonight. I know you're probably trying to figure out where to go from here if you're an Oakland voter. So back to Lauren. So Lauren, I think one of the problems I saw with Lauren's campaign, one, he's just not aggressive, right? He's a very nice cat. Nothing wrong with that. And Barbara Lee wasn't necessarily aggressive, but I'll say this, if Lauren had taken a lead that everyone was really clearly accepting, no one really said that he overtook her. A lot of people were saying they were projecting the race was going to be tight. And at this point, it's not. 5-point loss is not tight. 2 to 3 point, that's tight. 4 is reasonable. 5 is kind of like you're getting into like dominant win territory. You get to 7, it's kind of a blowout. So he's not looking, it's not looking close. And when I saw those articles that it was close, a lot of nationwide media making a thing of it, I kept saying, where's the numbers? Now, I'm going to hold some of you to task because there were a few of you on Twitter or on X posting misinformation on purpose. And I was reposting you and saying, where's your facts? And it was the Lauren people, supporters of Lauren. Now, I'm not saying all of you, a few of you. Now, I'm not talking about, let's just say this. I'm not talking about, I'm just saying there's a few that were out there. And let me, how do I put this? Not anyone that I know personally. I'll just say this. Anyone that I'm connected to politically through my connections to Oakland, anyone that's been on my podcast, I'm not talking about you. Okay. But I'm talking about some folks that were clearly burner accounts or fake accounts or people just jumping in, trying to purposely put misinformation out there like this. And I'm going to talk about it later on. I'm going to hold some of you to task. I think you should be held to task for it because there's a difference between posting, there's momentum, and these are the numbers we're seeing, and the crowd is big versus inside. There's one guy who kept posting, insiders say Barbara Lee is losing in the polls. And I'm like, what in the fuck? Where's the polls? That kind of stuff I'm calling out. That didn't do anybody any favors because it creates a sense of basically lethargy for people who need to be motivated. So that kind of stuff will keep people from voting. Now, maybe this person was secretly trying to help out Barbara, but when you keep saying, hey, we're winning, and you're not specifically winning, there's a problem with that. And don't get mad at me because Lauren lost. So what I'm saying is right. And if you look at my timeline, I was calling people to task saying, where's this evidence? Because I knew Barbara would be impossible to beat without clear momentum. Go back to my podcast with Seneca Scott, who just a tremendous individual. I know some of you think he's controversial. Right on. I like Seneca. I think he's just as he's making a he's dominant. He's got a very dominant voice. Um, but here's my point. So I was reposting some of these people, not him. I mean, I repost him all the time. But I was reposting some of these people that were saying things that there was no facts for. So when you're saying, hey, there's people are motivated, there's it's look, and then when the articles came out, Politico, The Hill, there was a lot of articles, NBC, nationwide media saying, hey, Lauren could pull this out. So I was okay with seeing that because that was the vibe. But there were people specifically posting misinformation, and that doesn't do any good. But but anyway, back to my podcast with Seneca. That's what I'm talking about. Gosh, a month ago, 2 months ago, when we were talking, we talked about Barbara and we said, hey, it looks like it's going to be easy for her unless Lauren really, and Lauren had declared, but not like really strongly, unless like, there's momentum and there's a candidate that can dethrone her. She kind of looks good. That's what we said. And we were right. So we did predict that per se. But it wasn't tough to predict that. It wasn't tough. It wasn't tough. She's dominant. Clearly, we were right. So back to Lauren. One, let me just be clear. I haven't talked about the corruption, but the corruption in Oakland is on a level. I haven't done a podcast on it. I'm planning one. I will have a guest that knows exactly what this guest, he knows what he's talking about. I will have a guest coming up. We're going to talk about the corruption. We're going to get into it because I didn't want to get into it per se, because first of all, that's not my forte. I don't know this. I know some things, but I don't know the facts enough to like do a solo thing on it. So I would need somebody to help guide me. Like, okay, am I right in this? I don't know the details like others do, but it's clear enough that there's the most corruption that we've seen maybe since Chicago. Chicago used to have a ton of corruption. It happens all the time, but I haven't even Googled it, but I was kind of wondering, when else has a mayor been looking at 95 years in the slammy for political corruption? When's the last time that's happened? I mean, we're forgetting. We haven't even gotten to that trial. I mean, that's going to be crazy. I think the most damning, thing that I thought was probably the biggest issue for Barbara Lee was her connection to Sheng Tao and the fact that she didn't. She said the recall is unconstitutional or some bullshit like that. The truth is, if I was Lauren Taylor, I would have had a press conference. I'm just going to be honest. I would have had a press conference, and that picture that was circulating of the two of them going, I would have had that blown up like a billboard. And I would have had that on as many billboards as I could have had in Oakland. But he didn't do it. He didn't hammer it home. Now, there were people hammering that home every day for him. And I was completely disappointed to not see him embrace that and go, that's fucking right. She's looking at 95 years and they're hugging. And some of the donors that took all that much, like they're connected. But the fact that we talked about it, people talked about it, I talked about it, not a lot. I mean, I'm not bringing it up with the candidates because I'm interviewing them for you guys. It's their show. But I'm just saying, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He didn't make a thing of it. And I appreciate that's not his style. And that's what I discovered by watching things unfold. I'm like, it's not his style. It's cool. Now, the only time he got in the mix was he did a video. Maybe he did two of them. But he did a video because that flyer came out saying he was for defunding the police. And that flyer actually had some truth to it. I looked into it. And I was actually going to do I'm not saying he was defunding the police, but I looked at the flyer and I researched because the flyer had all these articles. I researched it last week and I looked at it and I said, there's a little bit of truth to it. There's a grain of truth to some of this. Some of but it was kind of a yes and no, right? So it's kind of it's not a point now. In fact, he's not on the council. He's not going to be mayor. He's not a politician for you. So what Lauren Taylor did in the past doesn't necessarily matter because everybody was part of it. They're all guilty. They're all fucking guilty. Like everybody in city. Here's the other thing. Everybody in city government, if you're in city government and you're watching me in Oakland, shame on you. You're all guilty. You're all guilty. You were there for years, 5 years, 4 years. You're all guilty, man. You saw these budgets. You let the city go to hell. Shang Tao was in there. You guys let that happen. You could have resisted her, but you let it happen. Shame on you guys, man. If you're an elected official in Oakland and you're watching this, it's your fault, man. You need to own it. And it's Lauren's fault too. Sorry, he was on the council. That was another thing I think was a problem. I didn't quite see the change. I didn't see him as the change candidate. So one, here's my breakdown. He did not hammer home the corruption. You had one job, Lauren Taylor. One job, dude. You didn't do it. You had one job. That's how you win elections. I'm sorry. That's how you win elections. You got to go strong on the negative. Sorry. So they went negative on him about defund the police. He couldn't shake it. That flyer was pretty significantly damning because it caused an uproar. And he even did a video. So you knew that was a problem because he did a video. But if he had been hammering Shang Tao, see, he should have ran against the ghost of Shang Tao. That's the election. You run against the ghost of somebody looking at 95 years in the slammy and magical things happen for your campaign. I'd have been talking about that all the time, man, and whoever helped run his campaign, you guys failed because this is what I would have done. Okay, Lauren, this would have been my advice. I'd say, come on, Lauren, let's sit down. Buy me a cup of coffee. Buy me dinner. Lauren, here's the election for you. You're running it. You lost. You're coming off a loss. Anybody knows when you come off a loss, you got to change it up. You got to be different. Got to be a different guy. Different gal. You got to be different. He's the same guy. That one, you got to change that image. You got to shake that up. One, he had the same image. Look, I'm not telling the guy to not be who he is, but do you want to win or not? This is what I said. This is what I would have said. I didn't say that to him. I'm misspeaking, but this is what I would have said. You got to change your image up. Two, you got to hit every outlet you can hit and talk about Shang Tao going to jail. That's what you do. And he didn't do it. He didn't come on my podcast, which clearly he would have been able to say whatever he would have. Look, I know my numbers, and I know when I interview a person, I know what the numbers will be. I've been podcasting for 10 years. I'm an actor. I've done a lot of stuff. I've done nationwide stuff. I've done live TV. I've done a lot of stuff. I've done live. I'm an expert on knowing these things with my brand. I could have guaranteed 20,000 views. I could have guaranteed him 30,000 views on that video. Or our interview. Clearly, because he's a big deal. It's a big interview. It would have been a big interview. And I would have allowed him to say anything he wanted to say, and I wouldn't have put him on the spot. We would have talked about Here's what I was going to talk to him about. I was going to talk about, hey, you're incredible. They never talked about how he came back from a near death experience. He had the guy is an incredible human, but they never talked about that. It was just like he's the change. But you never sat him down and said, "Tell us about that, man. What makes you so incredible? You're taking on, what makes you think you can beat?" Like, he was not interviewed by anybody that had the power to get a good interview. He interviewed by the same old cats. They'd ask you the same old boring questions. Now, I'm not saying I could have helped him win. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is he could have tried. Now, if Barbara had come on my podcast, she would have gotten the same, probably even more. Look, you might listen to this going, he's a joke. He's nuts. Look, judge for yourself. Lauren lost. So he could have done more podcasts, not just mine, every podcast. He could have done more social media. The stuff they did was super boring stuff. It was canned stuff. It was stuff you do when you're trying to win city council. And he had incredible people supporting him. I didn't see that being leveraged. And so, that being said, I would have said you got to change up and you got to hammer the corruption. And then when the racist controversy broke, he didn't say one thing about it, man. I mean, he said a small little thing. It was just the most generic campaign you could run. I'm just being honest. Some of you are really disappointed he lost, and I'm just explaining why. And the most momentum I saw with his campaign was when that picture and Barbara hug. You had a picture. I mean, your former mayor is like the devil right now to Oakland, like the most vilified character. And you had a golden ticket. Now look, you might be saying I'm too dark. I'm just being honest. You had a picture of the most vilified politician in Oakland's history. Hands down. Barbara Lee and them hugging each other. Barbara Lee's supporters resisted the same supporters, the same stuff that people like Seneca were saying, and no one took it. Lauren Taylor's campaign avoided it, didn't want to talk about it. We don't want to do that. Well, you lost. That's called losing. Look, I got to be honest with you. 5 points, that's 5 points. That picture's worth 10 points to me. Every time he had national media attention, Politico, didn't talk about it. Politico. If he had done a press conference and said Barbara Lee is the same person, just wearing a different outfit, Politico would have printed that and it would have made a difference, but he didn't do it. I'm hungry. So, look, I have nothing to lose by telling you the truth. And Lauren is welcome to come on my podcast. I'm going to invite him to come on to talk about the election after the fact. Look, so there's how, that's why he lost. He didn't hammer home the corruption. He fought a juggernaut. And she dominated, and looks like she's going to dominate. And she really didn't put that much effort in. And yeah, she's a carpetbagger, and she has the other, everybody was uncovering the stuff that he didn't want to talk about. It blew my mind, man. Like, she doesn't really live in Oakland much. There was issues with real estate. Then she had like an NGO or something, or a nonprofit that pulled in 63 milli, and no one can figure out. There was some really juicy stuff, and he didn't talk about it. So you lose. So I am feeling bad for the people that worked hard to dig this stuff up. I mean, there were so many warriors online digging up some stuff. Now, Lauren didn't really have much dirt to dig up, which is impressive. I'll say this. That's impressive. And I understand when you start going there, then you open yourself up for the volley. So maybe he's like, hey, I don't want to put my family through this, but hey, dude, it's Oakland. It's Oakland politics. It's rough and tumble. This is the toughest political environment I've seen in years. I mean, people going to jail, man. Like people are getting fired for writing racist content in a city meeting. The feds are raiding your offices. Like, man, he never said it. It was crazy that I never saw him say, hey, you know what? I'll tell you one change you're not going to get with me. The FBI is not raiding my office, and they're not going to raid the city after I'm your mayor. He never made a thing of it. He was so nice about it. This one's got some. Nice guy, but he lost. So I don't think you're going to get much change. Everybody in city council that's guilty of all the foolishness is going to continue their foolish ways. You're looking at bankruptcy because Barbara Lee's not concerned with that stuff. She's concerned with how she looks with her nationwide, resurgence. You're forgetting Barbara Lee lost. They both came off election losses. And it's intriguing to me that Lauren loses by 677 in the last one, comes back around and loses bigger against a tougher candidate. Interesting. Barbara Lee comes in and basically was like, hey, this is going to be easy stuff. You don't think that they had a political consultant that took a look at all the numbers and did the projections and said, this is a walk in the park? You don't think Barbara Lee didn't have Lauren completely studied? Come on now. You're naive to think that they already knew they were going to win before they got into it. No good politician ever gets into an election they're going to lose. They always go for the one they know they're going to win. That's how Barbara Lee survived for years. She's won like what, 12, 15 elections? She's like the Frank Underwood of winning elections. Little house of cards for you there. And look, she's been on the national stage. That's not easy. It's not easy to continue to win elections, and she basically lost her last attempt to stay at the nationwide level because the federal level, because, she was kind of trending out, that she's 79. So a little out of touch, maybe a lot out of touch, but now she's your mayor. So look, I want Oakland to survive. No one needs that. We need pro sports back in Oakland. Oakland needs, and now on the flip side, Barbara's the person that can call a lot of these politicians and get a sports team. I mean, she could help with Alameda, and Barbara could do a lot by just a press conference or two. She's got power. Politico jumps, She didn't need to really push the button on the nationwide media. She really didn't need to call any favors in because Lauren did not run a good enough campaign, and they knew that, and he lost. So where do you go from here? If you're, we're going to wrap this up. I hope I didn't lose you, make you mad, make you hate me, but I'm just trying to be honest with you. Where do we go from here? Or where do you go from here? One, you need to probably, I'll say this. If Lauren Taylor had, I got to tell you, if Lauren Taylor had switched parties and said, I'm not a Democrat anymore, I'm an independent or something like that, that would have been huge. He did not really push conservative. He didn't push towards that way. That was another mistake. Why? It's nonpartisan. Why wouldn't you just go all out, man? Go all out. Like, you're not going to get all these, you have to understand when you put two people that are the same as far as political alignment, they're both left wing, and come on, Oakland City Council, you don't get there by being conservative. So he was already very left-leaning. Everybody knew that. Then you get somebody who's more left-leaning. Well, the dial, they're going to go to the better choice. So you have to contrast yourself. That goes back to what I would have advised earlier is you got to reinvent yourself and be a different person. You can't be the same Lauren Taylor. And if he had gone towards a more conservative approach or an independent approach, he could have created a contrast and won those people over that just didn't trust him to be conservative enough. And the truth is, you don't need more taxes. Barbara Lee has already said she's going to aggressively go after parking tickets and violations and try to get that revenue up. That's not going to, you're just regressively taxing the people that are there. Or you're not getting any money from the people that continue to violate ordinances if they can't pay you. That doesn't do anybody any good. So her plan is not a plan at all to get them out of the fiscal basement. The truth is, if you're a smart person, you're like, let it go to bankruptcy and we'll just have to shake it up, because that's the option of the city. In the middle of that, there's going to be a lot of loss of services. And if there is a bankruptcy situation, maybe by then Gavin can bail them out, because what happens is you lose fire and police. Nobody wants that. You start really digging into essential services. There's the crime wave is out of control. Barbara Lee's she's not doing anything with the police. She's going to let the police do what they want to do. Look, she's 79, dude. She's busy being on the nationwide stage. So if Lauren had created a significant contrast, then I would have said his chances were better. But look, you can't not be who you are. He's a nice guy. He really is. From what I've seen, the people that support him, they support him because he's a nice guy. And sometimes nice guys finish last. And that's the show, guys. I'm sorry. It was a heartbreaker for you tonight. And now some of you are like, yeah, I'm not depressed. I'm sad. I have a lot of friends that wanted Lauren to win, so I'm sad for my friends. And I kept everything to myself, because the truth is, I'm not going to give away this stuff, during the campaign, because that's my advice. I think is pretty relevant. So I'm letting these people work it out for themselves. No one can look. If Lauren's campaign had called me, we would have had a conversation. I would have said, well, this is what I would have done. Where is your billboard of your corrupt mayor hanging out with your new mayor? Where's that? I would have taken the money. He raised almost $1 million, man. Yeah, where did that money go? The other side of it is, where did they spend the money on? I didn't see any big expenditures that really, in my view, made a difference. They didn't. You could have paid for a poll. No one paid for a poll. Yes, in special elections, it's tough, but you could have done an online poll. I didn't see anybody do any polling. It's tough to. Barbara Lee is essentially the incumbent. She has name recognition. It's tough to beat an incumbent. He had all these things against him, and they didn't run a super aggressive campaign. And that was his biggest mistake, I thought, is he did not hammer the corruption, which is the story. That's the story. The corruption is the story. Sheng Tao, 95 years in the slammy, possibly. She's going to cut a deal for 10. There's no way she's not going to get jail time. Those cats that own the waste management company, that corruption was wild. This is a story the feds have raided. Are you serious? Clearly racists were embedded in the city that have been fired. Like, there could be more. You got to be kidding me. And you didn't bring it up once. I tried to stop. I have to stop. All right. So give me your comments. First of all, give me some love. I love the love. Give me your comments. Thanks for watching the Jason J. Daniels show. Just so you know, I'm an actor. I'm trying to get some actors on here and some comedy. I have comedian friends. So we're going to do more of that now that this election's over. I'm still going to do politics, but you'll be seeing things change a little bit. I've got some cool friends around the nation that are doing political stuff. So we're going to get some folks involved. The guests are awesome. It's an exciting time. So hang with me. Please follow me on IG. Please subscribe if you're on YouTube and Rumble. That means a lot. It really does. It tells the algorithm that what you're watching, you appreciate. There's so many things you can watch. So I appreciate you watching me. I have big plans. I haven't gotten the iTunes downloads going, but I'm going to be on iTunes and also Spotify, audio and video. We're going to get that going. Twitch. I mean, I have all these things I'm doing to make this move forward, and I appreciate you guys being a part of it. And hopefully, now I'm not done with the Oakland conversation. I have some guests coming on in the next couple of weeks. The next week. So by probably first week of May, we'll be moving to some other stuff. But I want to say thank you again, guys, for being part of this. And follow me, subscribe, and look, block me if you want. I've got some people. I've got people in Oakland started blocking me. I'm like, what I do? What I do? Anything you do, I appreciate. Love me or hate me. And thanks for watching. If you're not watching, I'm not doing it. So thanks, guys, for watching. And I hope it didn't break your heart. I did the best I could to give you the truth. And we'll go from there. Look, I'll hold Barbara accountable. We'll hold her accountable. We'll be doing some stuff. I got some very serious Oakland, powerhouse political friends, and they're going to hold her accountable. So we'll see how that goes. But the future's bright if you guys make a difference. Take care. Have a great night. And be blessed. Bye now. Thanks for watching the Jason J. Daniel Show.